Good morning, Satnam. It's eclipse week. If you follow the phases of the moon, we have a full moon coming up in 2 days, and it's an eclipse, lunar eclipse. So the eclipses are really transformational times. You know, it creates change that kind of affects us for months and weeks in our lives. So I wanted to just pose some questions because it seems that if you're paying attention to the news at all or social media, we are really in times of chaos and conflict. And so I wanted to just pose some questions to you today. It's something to make you think about, you know, the direction in which you're moving in your life. You know, it's easy to get, I think, caught up in other people's stories, right? Other people's stuff, and not really allowing ourselves to come from a place of authenticity and where we are in that process and who we are in that process. So I wanted to ask, you know, I think we're all being triggered on some level with the news and what's going on globally and that sort of thing. And you know, I think it's important that we remember that even news, regardless of what side you're on or what you believe in, all news is given and delivered from someone's perspective. It's not your perspective, it's someone else's perspective. So I think it's really, really important, especially in this year of 2017, which is all about the self, to really hone in on doing your homework and learning the facts, but not being influenced by other people's perspective, because other people's perspective is their story. So it's you know, what's triggering them and then how they're delivering their message. Probably how I'm delivering this to you. But for all intents and purposes, I just wanted to kind of pose the question, you know, what is triggering you right now? How are you being triggered? And I think that's important because as we see, you know, protests and marches and all of these things, these are outside influences or things that we're kind of buying into or being a part of. But where are you in that bigger picture? And I think that's really important to come into right now, to really find a perspective from yourself and go, okay, this is triggering me, or I want to be a part of this, or, you know, I believe in this. But what is it about that outside influence that is forcing you to be triggered? What do you need to look at within yourself? You know, there's a famous quote, I think it belongs to a song, is, you know, may there be peace on this earth and may it begin with me. Well, that doesn't mean running out and protesting. It means looking at you first and going, okay, why do I feel so strongly about this? What in my life, in my experience, is triggering me to want to be a part of this or to not want to be a part of this? You know, I think that's sort of the big thing there. The number 13 will be coming up as the universal energy for the day of the eclipse. And that's important because 13 is the power of the word, and that is for better or for worse. So watch your words. You know, when you're writing, when you're speaking, it will manifest. So be very conscious of that. The other aspect of that is betrayal and deception. And that doesn't necessarily come from outside. A lot of times it's, you know, self-inflicted because, again, we are not coming from a place of center, from a place of who we are in ourselves and our truth. And so we can easily buy into things that don't serve us or that are not true, or at least true for us. So that's something that I think is really important for us to note. These eclipses will affect us for weeks and months. So, you know, it's going to be really, really important, I think, that we figure out what it is or how we want to move forward in our lives. The biggest question is, what are you feeding? What are you feeding in and around your life? Only you know the answer to that, but I would suggest that you write it down and that you meditate on it. And, you know, burning is a really powerful ceremonial thing to do during the full moon. So if you feel called to, I would write down a list of things that are no longer serving you and burn them and just set them free. Let them go so that you can move forward with grace and with ease into whatever the cycles are that are going to be happening for you in your life. I did want to read an excerpt from Yogi Bhajan because I think that tolerance and acceptance are something that are lacking in these times, particularly in this year. It says, the new age, the age of truth and love, the age of tolerance and service, the age of humility and equality will be known by a few things. The people who will cross into this age will not possess what they should not. They will possess everything they should possess. But under no circumstances will they be possessed by anything. And he goes on to talk about you have to work on yourself. Self shall be tested. You have to stand for your own self in the age of truth. You have to understand how to love. You have to understand how to tolerate the other man's point of view. May this message serve you today and always. Sano.